Hey up guys, how we doing? Welcome back to the channel. You with me, the Autistic Biker? And it's a pleasure as always, it really is. We love doing what we do, don't we, as motor vloggers? Vloggers? V-vloggers? V-vloggers? I don't know. Anyway, you get gist, you know what I mean. Yeah, welcome back. So, yeah, I'm going to start off by saying, and I don't say this all the time. In fact, I've started saying it even like much more rarely now. You know, like less frequent, less common. Because, you know, I don't want to come across like a nag and a pest and a beggar as if I'm begging you. But every now and again I just like to say it on one of my videos, but please feel free to subscribe to this channel, The Autistic Biker, to my YouTube motor vlogging channel. I would really much appreciate it. It's not that as all of you know, irrelevant, and you know, regardless of whatever YouTube channel you've got there on YouTube, doesn't have to be motor vlogging, but whenever you see your subscriptions, your subscribers going up, it's such a magnificent, wonderful feeling. It really is. It feels so good and so nice. And with that in mind, there can't be not one of you that agrees with what I'm about to say, but it like spurs you on. It encourages you to do more videos. Do you know what I mean? To put more videos out there on your channel, it really does. So yeah, just feel free to at least even think about it, at least even consider subscribing to this channel, my channel. I would really hugely much appreciate it. Just like I said, you know what I mean, it'll really just give me that oomph and that, just that nice pleasurable excitement, you know, that encouragement just to keep on going and to make videos like this. It'll motivate me. It's when you see your subscribers going up, it's really motivating. It really is. It'll motivate me to do more stuff like this, but not just that, even more often as well, you know, more and more, squeezed into a short amount of time. It really will. It'll encourage me to really get out there. Anyway, I digress. Anyway, so yeah, I just thought I'd come out. I've got my Drift Ghost XL Pro. I've got it on a 2.7K at 50 FPS, 50 frames per second. I've got exposure 0 on 0, which is just like you know, like your neutral, you know, like your default. I've got my video filter, basically, you know, contrast colour. My video filter on vivid, so not on normal but vivid. And I've got my ISO on 100. I've also got in it as well, which I only just bought recently, which is my latest and the best as well, micro SD card that I've actually ever owned and that I've got at the minute. I only got it a few weeks ago, something like that, roughly. But apparently they are American. Apparently, it's got the like American flag on box anyway that I ordered it. You know, that came in box. It's got like the American flag, so I can only assume like they're actually like properly American micro SD cards. But it's a V90. It's, yeah, the manufacturer of the brand is called Delkin, D-E-L-K-I-N, so Delta Echo Lima Kilo Indigo November, Delkin, and it's a V90 micro SD memory card. So yeah, so good, it's all good stuff. So yeah, we're having a ride out to I'm going to, well, we sorry, not I, we are going to the Penny Pot Cafe at Edale, which I've been to, as you know, if any of you have watched this channel, many times before, to Penny Pot Cafe at Edale. So yeah, God, I'm addicted to their funfetti cookies. Even red velvet cookies, but even more so their funfetti cookies. Oh boy, oh boy. Yeah, really good, really nice. So yeah guys, join me on this ride, on this ride, on this ride. Oh yeah, I've got the video stabilisation turned off as well on this, because I'm sure that with video stabilisation on, I'm sure that it narrows your view. And not just that, it's not just that, not only does it narrow your view, but it you know, like when you're moving like this, you know, like your head looking right, left, right, up, down, it makes it look like quite, if you'll get what I mean by this, I bet you do, but it makes it look like quite choppy. Like if I'm looking there now, if I were to go bump like that and look to the right, do you know what I mean? Yeah, it looks quite choppy when you've got video stabilisation on. So what I've done is I've turned it off, so video stabilisation is off. Yeah. A lot more sharp, in fact some people would even say too sharp. Not so sharp, but too sharp. But at least it's not choppy, and at least it's not like narrowing our view as well, you know. So yeah, oh well. Yeah, so I just wanted to bring up a little, you know, sort of like little, I suppose you could look at it as in it could potentially maybe turn into a little bit of a debate. It's really something really not worth falling out over, because it's basically just like a nothing really of a subject. It's not important, it don't matter, who gives a toss, who gives a damn. It's not about, you know, politics, religion, colour of skin, races, you know, ethnics, backgrounds, culture, nothing. It's not basically. But let's see what you reckon to this anyway. So it's a few months old, easy, but months and months ago, I had radio on in car. I don't know what station now, but basically, you know, like every now and again a radio station will like put out subjects, topics to ring in about, and you know, to radio station and tell your personal experience, tell your story. And what it were is it must have been something like celebrity sort of like encounters. Have you ever sort of like, not like as like a meet and greet, so a purposely meet and greet, you know, like you've paid for like a meet and greet, or you've won a meet and greet, meet up with a celebrity, not like one of them probably professional like orchestrated things, but I got the vibe and impression like it was something like if you've just like bumped into one accidentally and coincidentally and stuff like that, you know what I mean, ring in and give your experience. And this woman rung in this rung up this radio station of our, you know, what I was listening to, and it was something like yeah, so this woman rung up and just said, I once bumped into Chris Tarrant, who used to host, who used to do Who Wants to Be a Millionaire. It's Jeremy Clarkson now, isn't it? But it were Chris Tarrant, as we say back in the day, who used to host, you know, Who Wants to Be a Millionaire. And what it were is, she said, I were once in this shop or supermarket, whatever, however big or small, and she said, I didn't know it were him at first, Chris Tarrant, that Chris Tarrant were stood in front of me in a queue, and he were buying a lottery ticket. He were getting a lottery ticket, and what it were is after he'd finished paying, he stepped back, obviously, and he bumped into me physically. He physically bumped into me, and what it were is, she said, we didn't say anything. He didn't say up to me, I didn't say up to him, but he looked at me at first as if it were like my fault. So basically that's it, guys, that's it, that's end of story. She said he looked at me as if it were my fault. So I was like, right, okay, that's it, done. So now really getting on track, really getting on track, what I wanted to ask you guys and run this by you guys is, I want your whole thoughts, opinions, judgments, your whole thoughts and feelings on this matter, on this subject, on this topic, to see what you think of that. Now because she actually didn't say on this radio station, or at least I didn't hear her or grab her saying something like, now fair enough, it was my fault because I was so too close to him. She didn't say that. Or on flip side, she didn't say, I won't mind, you know, if I weren't stood too close to him. But the thing is, I was stood well away from him, but then he still bumped into me. So she didn't actually say either way whether if like it was her fault, so she owned up to it, or no, it weren't, so she can't own up to it, but she would if it were her fault. So my only sort of like very first immediate thought and reaction to that were, and I asked this sort of like question in my head, you know what I mean, I asked this question in my head, I was like, well, it all depends really, doesn't it, without seeing the CCTV in that shop or supermarket or whatever. But yeah, supermarket is still a shop, so there you go. Yeah, without actually seeing CCTV in that shop, in the place, you can't really make that full proper like hook, line and sinker, fair, impartial like judgment call, can you? You know what I mean? So you can only sort of like really ask questions in your own head and try to draw some sort of like analysis you send in your head, draw up some sort of like end verdict and end conclusion. I'll say it for the third time, in your head. So my thought process on it would be this: it all depends, doesn't it? Let's say if she were genuinely too close to Chris Tarrant, and anyone for that matter stood in queue, and let's say, you know, if of course he would have needed to step back to be able to obviously then exit the queue, whether if he would have been exiting left or exiting right, he still would have needed to step back, of course, obviously. So if the, let's say for example, one end conclusion, end verdict would be, if the woman, the lady in the queue, or rung up radio station, let's say if she were too physically close to Chris Tarrant in the queue, then then I don't blame Chris Tarrant for looking at her as if to say, what you're doing so that close to me for, what you're doing, this is your fault. Then I don't blame Chris Tarrant. Same as I won't blame anybody else stood in queue, because then the woman shouldn't have been stood too close to that person, in this example Chris Tarrant, in the queue. But however, if, let's say for example, yeah, let's say for example, if this lady genuinely weren't stood too close to Chris Tarrant in the queue, but let's say if Chris Tarrant took like a right big nice full swing to step back, bumped into this lady, and then still had tenacity, the bare brassic cheek inside him to look at her as if it were this lady's fault and not his, then I would be all for the lady and on the lady's side and be like, well, you know, it's not as if you had, it's not as if you didn't have plenty of room, Chris Tarrant, or anyone else for that matter, to step back, because you did. The lady behind you gave you, as they say, plenty of a wide berth, but just at the back of you, plenty of room at the back here for you to swing back and not even bump into that lady. But the fact that you even went extremely massively overboard, you took a big massive wide swing back and you still bumped into this lady, then that is absolutely hook, line and sinker your fault. End of. Next time, turn your head and look, as if like us bikers know it as, us motorcyclists know it as, like a lifesaver for if you're moving, but because you want to be moving, a full shoulder check. You do a full shoulder check before you do actually move. So as if you're on a bike, do a full shoulder check as if you're on a bike for when you're in a queue. So physically look with your eyes, with your head, turn your head before you actually you know, move out of that line of sight and that line of queue. So yeah, there we go. So tell me what your sort of like non-CCTV version, without seeing that, without seeing the cameras in stow, tell me what your sort of like end verdict, your end conclusion would be on this subject, on this topic, on this matter. Do you know what I mean? So tell me what you think, guys. Alright, sorry, I just pulled over then just to let that biker passes, so let that other biker passes, that's all. So yeah, he waved at us anyway, didn't he? So we waved at him back. So yeah, just let me know what your sort of like whole thoughts, feelings, judgments, opinions, criticisms are. Just let me know what your whole like end verdicts, your end conclusions are on this particular topic. So yeah, so that's it, guys. So I'm going to leave it there. It's been a pleasure as always. You've been with me, the Autistic Biker, and yeah, so take care, guys. Alright, remember, if you are riding, ride safe. Watch out for them other idiots out there on the road. Alright, and until then, I'll see you at next one. See you guys, take care, bye bye. Bye now, bye. Do, 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 do.